Well, thank you for joining me today, Cole. If you can kind of open up with who you are and what you do.
Yeah, I'm Cole Petrovich, co-founder of the Herb Clinic here in St. Albert. Also a cannabis educator and just started growing as well myself. So,
Okay, wow,
yeah.
Congratulations. Well, tell me about the Herb Clinic. How long has the Herb Clinic been around, and where are you at today?
The Herb Clinic's been open just short of 2 years now. We've seen over 2,000 patients now.
Wow.
And a lot of people are having really good success, so it's great and why we opened the place in the beginning. So
Yeah. So 2,000 patients in 2 years. I don't have a lot of context like in the medical clinic world in general, but that seems like a lot of patients in a short amount of time that would gravitate to a brand new clinic.
yeah, I think so. I think it's been good. I don't come from a medical background, so I'm not sure how quick offices fill up, but it's been a really rewarding experience to be able to see people come in and change their perspective on cannabis and start using it as a medicine. So
Yeah. Well, that's really interesting. So you're not from a medical background.
no,
You're not Dr. Cole,
no.
but you're a founder of a medical clinic. So let's go through that. How did you end up deciding to found a medical clinic? What was the path to that?
Myself and 3 friends decided that we wanted to get into the cannabis industry. We had first looked at getting into the recreational market. This was before they even started drafting framework for that side of it, so it was a little bit early to be into that part of it.
Yeah. But you saw it coming.
Yeah. I have used cannabis myself as a medicine for almost 10 years, and I wanted to be able to share that with other people. So we went around and looked for a doctor. We started with 3 hours of physician time once a week. So we would see just a handful of patients once a week, and we were like that for 6 or 7 months.
Yeah.
Since then, we've been able to build our team and are able to offer services 5 days a week now. So.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
So what's your throughput of patients here in the run of a week or a day?
We usually see 10 to 15 patients a day.
Yeah.
And that's from new patients to follow-ups and renewals.
So what is the for those who might not be familiar, what is the function of a medical cannabis clinic overall? What's the patient experience? How does that work?
To be able to provide patients with the education that they need to be able to choose a product that is going to work for their condition, the dosage that they're going to need to be able to achieve results, and basically education for the patients, and then giving them the access to the cannabis through the licensed producers in Canada.
Okay, so this is an ongoing process then. It's not like they the patient comes in, they have a goal, and they get a prescription for cannabis, they go away, and you never see them again. This is an ongoing support infrastructure.
It is. We see them at minimum every 3 months. It doesn't mean that we won't see a person any sooner than that. If they're having issues after the first week, somebody can come in and gain more education, go through their dosing. Maybe the product that they're using isn't right for them, so trying to adjust those things and figure out a workable solution for everybody.
Yeah. So maybe go through that a little bit. So and I think that's the thing that many people that cannabis is foreign to, either recreationally or as a medical treatment at all, might not appreciate. Cannabis is not one thing. It's not Tylenol, or it's not a single, treatment painkiller or anything like that. So what what are the swaths of products that patients can choose from, and how do they look at those products?
Well, patients will look at different strains, the cannabinoid levels present in there, the terpene levels present, looking at what type of ingestion method is going to work for them better. Is it going to be oils? Is it going to be vaporization? And then taking all of that information and looking at which products are available from which people, and pairing a person with them to be able to try those products.
So it's very individualized.
It is, yeah.
Yeah, they come in, they say, and I'm sure everybody's a little bit different, but they've got a goal. They want to treat something and feel better. So you guys will give them a initial recommendation on initial products, and then you give them guidance on how they would dose with those products as well.
We would, yes, yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
So we'll start people out just with an initial dosing with products that we've seen other people have success with.
Okay.
There can be adjustments from there just because everybody is different. There can be a little bit delayed onset times with oils. Some people start to feel effects at 90 minutes. Some people it takes 3 hours before they start to feel them. So just figuring out and adjusting when a person takes their oil so that they're going to get the best effect from it.
Yeah, so they're not an island. They have somewhere to come back to.
They do, yeah.
And say, hey, maybe I'm not quite getting as much sleep as I need. Should I try something different, or they're just kind of progressing with you. They want to try a different delivery format as well, and you'll kind of hold their hand through that whole process.
Yeah.
So you said that now, so you're over 2 years in and over 2,000 patients through these clinic doors, and now you're gaining this record of results for various different patients. So you're seeing, okay, well this type of treatment works really well for this person. So you're starting to align new patients as they come in with the experience of all these past patients. Is that correct? Or
yeah, it gives a good starting point being able to see other people's results. Definitely when we first opened, there's a lot more guesswork there. We didn't know which producers had which products. It was learning about them themselves for the clinic, and then being able to pass that information on to the patients.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. So yeah. There's two major things going on here with the clinic. It's you're assessing the patient and patients in an ongoing basis and monitoring them, but it sounds like you're also continually assessing the products.
Yes. Yeah.
Across the LPs. So what is the difference in the product offerings, from 2 years ago to today, and what is that? Is that learning experience, or that time, is that becoming more time consuming as you go forward?
One of the nice things since we started is there's just been a lot more availability to oils and capsules. Majority of the patients that we see here aren't interested in vaporizing or smoking cannabis.
Yeah.
So capsules and any type of ingestible is definitely a preferred method for people. So having different licensed producers and having more availability has been good.
So there's far more ingestibles available today than 2 years ago.
There are, yeah.
So let's talk about some of your experiences to date at the clinic. Like what are the types of ailments that patients are coming in here with, and what do they look like? Are they young? Are they old? Men? Women? Like,
the majority of our patients are over the age of 55.
Okay.
A lot of people are coming in with pain, arthritis, and sleep issues would be our biggest things. As far as products and stuff, most people are using CBD during the day just for low intoxication effects, and a lot of people using THC oils in the evening for their sleep. So.
Yep. And what do you have any personal kind of stories or impacts that you've seen any of your patients go through that's really maybe surprised you or caught you off guard or
We had a patient that was using quite a few pain medications. When she came in here, she came in with using a walker. When she came in for her 3-month follow-up, she came in and opened the door herself and was carrying all of us coffee. She'd just gotten off of all of her medications, so that was a pretty memorable experience.
Wow! In a 3-month period.
In a 3-month period.
How old was this patient?
She was around 50.
Wow! And what was she suffering from?
She had chronic pain issues from a few accidents. So.
Yeah. Well, that's pretty good. I mean, and you got coffee.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Now, was it Tim's or Starbucks?
Tim's.
Okay,
yeah.
she went Canadian, so or at least historically Canadian.
Yeah.
Well, that's awesome. So you yourself, you said you've been using medical cannabis for over or about 10 years. You said. So why did you originally engage in cannabis medically as opposed to recreationally?
I've dealt with anxiety and depression for a very long time.
Yeah.
I was told at 16 to be prescribed Ativan to deal with the anxiety.
Yeah.
I haven't used any prescription medications. I always found that cannabis worked for me.
Yeah.
So I've always just gone that route.
Yeah.
My background before the clinic was welder, and through that we have to do a lot of drug impairment testing, job access testing, and so that always became an issue, and they were things that I'd have to deal with just to work.
Mm-hmm.
So definitely being in this industry now is a lot easier to be able to access it and not have to go stop using it and deal with issues and then go back to it after. So
Yeah, because so you had found, would it be fair to say by accident that you found, or by happenstance you're using cannabis recreationally, I'm assuming, and then you realized that it had a medical benefit?
I did, yeah.
To it, yeah.
When I first started using cannabis, it was a lot different how you got it. You had to wait for a person to come and meet you, and you got whatever they gave you. So when you're using it like that, you never know what kind of effect you're going to get from it. Growing up in BC, we began to have a lot easier access to it. You're able to decide what types of strains you were using, and I always paid attention to that and started to order things that would work for me.
Yeah,
So,
yeah, you identified that.
I
You
did.
said, "Hey, wait a minute. This is helping me deal with these issues," and then engaged with that way, and I guess so from that, I guess when you were looking at the whole industry, like you said, you saw a great opportunity to pour that experience into now 2,000 patients and counting. Yeah. No, that's amazing. So in the within this clinic, like what is the structure within here? So when a patient comes into the clinic and they book an appointment, who do they see, and how does the process work?
So they'll come in and see an educator first.
Yep.
Sit down and go through those types of things we talked about, the strains, the different types of ingestion methods. Once they've kind of gone through that and decided on a licensed producer, they'll see the practitioner. He will go through all of the medical questions the patient may have, assess them for if cannabis is going to be right for them. There are still some contradictions, some heart conditions that THC can have a negative effect on. So just making sure that cannabis is going to be right for somebody and not have any of those contradictions. And then if it is, writing the medical document authorizing them that use to cannabis. So.
Yeah. So there's a whole screening process
Yes.
that takes place, and not everyone gets a cannabis prescription.
No.
Yeah. So we are, as a whole, as a whole entire industry, a very short amount of time into it in Canada and globally, in essence. So these clinics, there's this whole business model of a cannabis education clinic has been born out of this new industry that is being born.
Yes.
Right? Because there's nothing else I can compare it to. There's no opioid clinics, right? Or there's no you're not looking at antipsychotic clinics, right? So what makes cannabis so different than those other drugs?
I think a lot of those drugs and medications, I know a physician back home that told me he was grew up in Vancouver. He was always taught that it was the worst thing. He went through medical school. He was never taught anything about it, about the endocannabinoid system, and was continued to tell that it was the worst thing. So there's a lot of physicians.
This is part of his curriculum, you're saying?
Yeah, it was. Yeah. None of that was ever there. So there's a lot of physicians that have been around for a long time, but still see it as just something that's recreational, and people are just smoking it to get high and forget about their problems. So it's finding physicians that are educated about it and being able to have a team around them to provide the education, because it's not something as simple as when you're prescribed a pill and they say take 2 every 4 hours and for the next 3 weeks and you'll be okay. It's finding out exactly what's going to work with somebody and having the clinic there to be able to provide the 45 minutes to 1 hour education that we give our patients. It's giving everybody a better result. So
yeah, they're getting a medical coach essentially out of your clinic. They get their personal medical coach and a peer or a mentor that they can, and that is definitely not something I'm assuming doctors have time for.
No.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So essentially, these medical cannabis clinics, they're providing that additional layer of support for the doctors and the patients, like you pretty much acting as the intermediary to ensure that the patient gets all this extra attention.
Yeah.
No, that's pretty phenomenal. So this is, I think we're at the beginning of year 3. Are we at the end of year 2 or the beginning of year 3?
The end of year 2, yeah.
We're at the end of year 2, so you're headed into year number 3 for the herb clinic. I'm sure there's been lots of things learned from this last 2 years that you're going to be putting into the next forever or all the next years of the herb clinic. So what are your next steps as a company and as a group, and what are your plans?
Just to continue to educate. So there's lots of people that still don't know much about it, and there are new medical markets that are opening up that are years behind us, over in Europe and those types of places. Those markets are just starting, and there's doctors in the same place that our physicians were 5 or 6 years ago, where they were unwilling to prescribe because they didn't have that education there. So being able to spread that education platform to any physicians that are needing it and any patients that need access. Yeah,
so you're so you think there's a pretty good opportunity for Canadian cannabis industry folks and educators in the medical community to support all these countries as they bring their medical systems online.
for sure. There's just been lots of learning curves for lots of people in the industry. It's a new industry for everyone, and it evolves every day. There's new parts being put into it, like with the edibles and topicals and that type of thing coming out in October. So there's more things for people to learn, and
there's more things,
more information for people to take in. So
yeah. And so what do you think? On a personal and or a professional level, what do you think is the most what makes a cannabis educator? What do you think is one of the most important things that maybe you bring to work with you every day, and or that you try to instill in all your peers here at your clinic?
Just being patient with everybody. It is a new thing, and sometimes it takes people longer to be able to understand it. There are people that will come in every week because they're not sure if they can go to the next step without you saying so. And we pride ourselves on that care that we give the patients, and that is kind of the most important thing, is being able to adapt to their needs and their conditions. And
So I mean, if I was to one-liner it, like I like to do, would you say it's patience for your patients?
Yeah.
Should I write that down for you? Or no, that's bad. No, that's bad. Well, Cole, I think you've had an unbelievable journey. I think you're doing some amazing things here at the Herb Clinic. I've had the honor to speak with some of your patients as well, and hopefully I'll get to speak to a lot more. And I'll be honest with you, hearing it firsthand from you and the people that are going through these transitions, it really shows that there's an immense amount of medical benefit here, and that you've got a lot more educating to do, because there's a lot more patients out there.
Yeah.
All right, buddy. Thanks a lot.
Thanks.
I appreciate it.